Did you know there was a concentration camp so brutal that even Nazi officials were horrified? In 1941, the fascist Ustaše regime opened Jasenovac in Croatia. What happened there defies comprehension. Guards wore a special weapon called the Srbošik, literally meaning Serb cutter, a curved blade strapped to their wrists designed for one purpose: slitting throats. They turned murder into a game. Guards competed to see who could kill the most prisoners in a single night. The record holder killed over 1,000 people. In the children's section, thousands of kids were starved and beaten to death, some as young as 5 years old. Over 100,000 Serbs, Jews, and Roma died at Jasenovac. After the war, communist authorities buried the evidence. Files were hidden, witnesses silenced. Even today, mass graves are still being discovered across Croatia. The horrors were so extreme that when Nazi officers visited, they filed reports calling the methods unnecessarily cruel. Jasenovac remains one of history's most savage killing fields, a place where human evil reached depths that shocked even the architects of the Holocaust. In 1944, Japan launched the world's first intercontinental weapon, 9,000 hydrogen balloons carrying bombs. Their target? American families. The plan was brilliant and terrifying. Japanese engineers used the jet stream to carry these silent killers 5,000 miles across the Pacific. No pilots, no fuel, just wind and physics. The balloons dropped bombs randomly across the American West, but the government kept it completely secret. Total media blackout. They didn't want Americans to panic, and they didn't want Japan to know their weapons were working. On May 5, 1945, a pastor took his pregnant wife and 5 children on a picnic in Oregon. They found something strange in the forest, a large balloon with wires hanging from it. It exploded. All 6 died instantly, the only mainland American civilians killed by enemy action in World War II. But Japan had an even darker plan. Biological warfare balloons carrying plague and anthrax, thousands of them, ready to launch. Only Japan's surrender stopped what could have been the deadliest attack in American history. In 1963, America's most advanced nuclear submarine dove into the Atlantic Ocean. 129 sailors were on board. None of them would ever surface again. The USS Thresher was supposed to be unsinkable, the Navy's pride and joy. But something went horribly wrong during a routine test dive. At 9:17 a.m., the surface ship received a garbled transmission. The final words were barely audible: attempting to blow. Then silence. The submarine had imploded instantly under 1,900 feet of crushing water pressure. Every man aboard died in a fraction of a second as the hull collapsed like a tin can. The Navy launched the largest search operation in maritime history. They found only tiny pieces of debris scattered across the ocean floor. But the real horror wasn't the disaster itself. It was what investigators discovered afterward. Faulty joints throughout the submarine had been doomed to fail. The crew never stood a chance. The Navy knew about the design flaws. They called it equipment failure and buried the truth for years. Did you know the CIA protected one of history's most brutal war criminals for over 30 years? Klaus Barbie was known as the Butcher of Lyon. He tortured French resistance fighters. Even children weren't spared from his cruelty. When World War II ended, he should have faced justice. Instead, American intelligence made a deal with the devil. They needed someone to fight communism in South America. Barbie was perfect for the job. The CIA gave him a new identity: Klaus Altman. They smuggled him to Bolivia through secret rat line operations. For decades, he lived openly, training death squads, teaching torture techniques to Latin American dictators. Holocaust survivors searched desperately for him. He was hiding in plain sight, protected by his American handlers. In 1983, the truth finally came out. The scandal rocked the intelligence world. Barbie was captured and put on trial, but the damage was done. The Cold War had allowed one of history's monsters to escape justice for 40 years, all because America needed a killer who knew how to break people. March 25, 1911, a normal Saturday at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in New York City. 500 workers, mostly young immigrant women, were finishing their shift when fire broke out on the 8th floor. Within minutes, flames engulfed the building. Workers rushed to the exits. The doors were locked. Management had chained them shut to prevent workers from taking breaks or stealing fabric. Panic spread as smoke filled the rooms. Some workers tried the elevators. Others fought desperately at the locked doors. On the 9th floor, with no way out, workers began jumping from windows, one after another. Witnesses watched in horror as bodies hit the pavement. The factory owners? They escaped to the roof and walked to safety. In 18 minutes, 146 people were dead. The owners were put on trial for manslaughter. They were acquitted. But here's the most disturbing part. They collected their insurance money and reopened another factory with the same locked doors, the same death traps. It took 146 lives to create the workplace safety laws we have today.